Good afternoon. Today's lecture concludes the course and is devoted to reflection on learning outcomes. This final stage is pedagogically significant because professional training is complete only when acquired knowledge is not merely recalled but critically reconsidered, systematized, and related to future practice. The purpose of such reflection is to transform completed study into conscious professional readiness. The goals of this lecture are threefold. First, it is necessary to summarize the principal topics, concepts, and methods studied throughout the course. Second, attention must be given to self-assessment as an essential component of professional formation. Third, it is important to identify those areas that require further development and continued self-education. In this sense, the lecture does not simply close the course. It clarifies what has been achieved and what remains to be developed. This slide brings together the major areas covered during the course. These include the methodology of analyzing pedagogical situations, pedagogical diagnostics, ethics and emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, the role of technology and pedagogical leadership, as well as active learning and organizational approaches in the classroom. Such a review is important because it reveals the internal coherence of the course. These topics are not isolated units. Together they form a system of professional knowledge necessary for understanding, interpreting, and resolving pedagogical situations. The course has been directed not only toward theoretical acquaintance, but toward the development of specific competencies. Among them are the ability to analyze pedagogical situations, knowledge of diagnostic methods, skill in applying pedagogical approaches in practice, and the development of critical thinking and reflection. These competencies are significant because they connect professional judgment with practical action. A future teacher must not merely know concepts, but be able to use them in real educational contexts. Reflection in pedagogical activity is the process through which the teacher analyzes actions, approaches, and methods of work. It is an indispensable element of professional growth because it allows one to distinguish successful decisions from those requiring revision. The slide rightly emphasizes three important functions of reflection: prevention of burnout, increase of professional awareness, and improvement of practice. Reflection, therefore, is not a passive mental exercise, but a means of sustaining pedagogical quality and professional resilience. Here, reflection is presented in direct relation to the analysis of pedagogical situations. A conflict or difficulty arising during a lesson may become the object of reflective examination: what precisely occurred, what intensified the problem, and what alternative action might have been more effective. Three aspects are especially important here: analysis of one's actions, identification of recurring patterns, and planning for improvement. Reflection becomes pedagogically productive only when it leads from experience to deliberate correction. The reflective assignment proposed on this slide asks students to consider which methods of analyzing pedagogical situations they will use in their own future practice. This task is valuable because it unites three pedagogical functions at once: consolidation of knowledge, planning of professional growth, and the connection of theory with real classroom work. Such an assignment encourages students to move from general understanding to personal professional position. The reflective assignment proposed on this slide asks students to consider which methods of analyzing pedagogical situations they will use in their own future practice. This task is valuable because it unites three pedagogical functions at once: consolidation of knowledge, planning of professional growth, and the connection of theory with real classroom work. Such an assignment encourages students to move from general understanding to personal professional position. The example given here concerns a student whose academic difficulty is connected with personal problems. Such a case is pedagogically important because it requires the simultaneous consideration of several dimensions: diagnosis of the root cause, motivational factors, and ethical principles. The answer suggested on the slide is equally appropriate. A situation of low motivation may be analyzed through diagnostic tools and followed by evidence-based recommendations. This illustrates that the final project is not intended as formal completion, but as an exercise in professional synthesis. 3 principal conclusions are drawn here. First, theory and practice must remain connected. Pedagogical knowledge has value only when it supports flexible work with real problems. Second, continuous self-reflection is a necessary condition of professional growth. Third, critical thinking and self-assessment are indispensable for the formation of a teacher who is not only competent, but also responsive and ethically aware. These conclusions express the central pedagogical orientation of the course as a whole. This slide turns attention toward the future. The completion of a course cannot be regarded as the completion of professional learning. An educator must continue to follow new pedagogical trends, expand methodological knowledge, and cultivate the personal qualities that support responsible teaching. The 3 directions named here, staying current, developing professionally, and leading by example, are not separate tasks, but interrelated aspects of lifelong professional formation. The course conclusion emphasizes that students have acquired both theoretical understanding and practical skill in analyzing and resolving pedagogical situations. Just as important, however, is the formation of a professional mindset oriented toward reflection, growth, and continuous improvement. The triad presented on the slide, knowledge, skills, and mindset, is particularly well chosen. It indicates that pedagogical preparation is complete only when intellectual mastery, practical ability, and professional disposition develop together. Thank you for your attention. I hope this course has contributed not only to your understanding of pedagogical situations, but also to the development of a more reflective and professionally grounded approach to teaching. I will be pleased to answer your questions and to hear your reflections on the course as a whole.